know you can't see these real well, but this is a gold certificate. Looks like $1, doesn't it? This is a, that's a gold certificate. This is national currency. Some of you have never even seen that. This is a Federal Reserve note, probably what your wallet has in it. This is a silver certificate. All of this different stuff, and Terry's holding up a piece of silver over there in front of me. Here's 1 ounce of silver coin, 1 ounce of. Why in the world do we have all this stuff? What is all of this stuff? Are you going to help us with this today?
I just totally felt like doing that. It was funny. I'm like, this is real, this is real. But yes.
All of this different stuff. And some people, I mean, you know, I'm a teenager from the 70s, and I remember silver certificates and gold certificates.
That's right.
There was a few gold certificates still running around. These were all over the place at the time.
One.
Silver. No, that's real.
Yep, this is
silver
a real
certificate.
One. Yep.
Yeah.
So all these
they called these in. The government or the
yes.
Federal Reserve Bank called those in.
Yes.
So
1968 was the last year we could use this.
That, by the way, I could have you arrested right now for holding that.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding you.
Welcome to the Wealth Transfer, everyone.
My name is Charles Vance.
I'm Terry Sacka.
Terry Sacka. We're glad that you're along.
But this is, you know, we're having a little fun this time around. This stuff sometimes overwhelms us.
I mean, really, when you look at all of this stuff, it's confusing and weird.
Unbelievable. I mean, like you just did. What we want to get into this week and the next coming weeks that you're going to want to stay tuned for, we're going to really break down what the definition, constitutional and historical definition of a dollar is, and what the definition and historical and truth of what a Federal Reserve note is. And when you see the stark difference, and you'll understand the tornado that is getting ready to come to the global economy, those holding the notes, debt instrument notes, are going to be severely compromised if you're not in the right asset. So we want to get into the real dollar asset, not the note asset, because notes are just basically loan IOUs. So we're going to illustrate this. We're going to show you things that you probably never understood, because many of you, as Charles alluded, are holding Federal Reserve notes in your wallet and you think they're called a dollar. You're going to be really surprised to know that Federal Reserve note is not a dollar, and we're being deceived, have been for 40 years plus. Wait till you see how that works and how it translates into real wealth, and how in the future the transfer that's coming in wealth to those who are in the right dollar, not the note, will benefit. And I contend, of course, we in the body of Christ should be the ones to do that. So,
Terry, let me have my stuff back here.
I want the one that's the silver. Okay, here, you can have that Federal Reserve note.
That's not any good.
And these are the exciting ones, because I think what you did, Charles, was really wonderful. There were so many currencies in our country. We have had these. These are different, real currencies.
I want people to understand that this national currency
That's a Philadelphia.
This is from 1914.
Yes.
Now, this was before the Federal Reserve banking system, or right after the banking system was established, but obviously it wasn't running all over the place yet. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
So they were still using this. This was replaced.
That's a great one.
Is that right?
Yep. It's a Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia.
This is a fake, by the way,
well,
in
sure.
case you want it.
National currency, Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. And so they had taken over as a banking entity, as they were supposedly just a large bank that was going to help manage the local state banking system. Because remember, United States were made up of different states, governments. We're not, we're under one federal. But what's happening is states are slowly losing their rights, and the federal is becoming central, meaning central control. And anything that becomes central, you start to get absurd behavior, which we're seeing now, right? And so this is important, because I love this. What Charles was alluding to, this was a federal or a Philadelphia note. We've had multiple currencies in the United States. And what we're getting into here over the next few weeks is showing you how the currency we have today, the Federal Reserve note, is getting ready to go away into something else when this tornado comes. And it's our retirement accounts, our church bank accounts, ministry accounts that are in direct crosshairs. So we look forward to getting into these details, because as we define this, hopefully we do this clear. We want to truly clearly define what a real dollar is and what a Federal Reserve note is, because remember, you have Federal Reserve notes in your wallet, and you don't realize they're IOU loans, not dollars.
Terry, where did these come from in the first place? That's what I want to know. I mean, I want the people to know where they came from. I know, but I want people to know. I'm asking that question for that reason. Where did this, the system that we're in now, where did this come from? Where did it start?
Well, because it's cotton, it probably comes from the fields of Georgia.
That's not what I'm talking about. You know it. You're in a corny mood today, aren't you?
But
who came up with this brilliant idea of printing something on paper?
It's brilliant.
I mean, this is brilliant.
It is brilliant.
To print something on paper and to get government legislation that says that you can do it and that it's legal. And not only that it's legal, that the government then, most people don't know, this says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Most people don't know that the words legal tender, there's actually a legal tender law. If I offer this to you for a debt and you say, I don't take that trash, this is nothing but paper, it's fiat, it's fake, you could actually have me prosecuted.
Could.
Yeah, under the legal tender law.
And they're expanding that concept so much so that they're trying to not only get away from, because remember, as we get into the defining this note is an IOU. It's a debt instrument. So wait till we explain this, you'll see. When you hold that debt instrument, when you hold that note, you have title to the ownership of a buying power of a dollar. They're trying to not only continue this facade, they're trying to make it pure digital. So you don't even have a paper note. You have it all digits in the cosmos. We start going digits in the cosmos, we're done. That means there's zero accountability to the spending of a government system, and you're in trouble. Hey, now, where it comes from is the answer. Let me get this. Okay. Where it comes from is the government, what it started out as, these things were too heavy. So these were too heavy. We had them in our pockets. We had silver and gold. Constitution says, Article 1, Section 8, Congress shall have the rights to coin money. Noah's Webster Dictionary was the authority of definition on the constitutional days. That seeing, philosophy was mostly biblical in term. Money was always defined as grains of silver, grains of gold. That was the definition of money. So we were carrying gold and silver around, and so they said it's too heavy for our pockets.
So the government had the right, according to the Constitution, to coin money. Money. Not to print money. Not to print currency.
And here's where it's good. Here's where we know we crossed the line. They coin money, but what happened is they switched that definition, and it's unconstitutional, but they do it anyway. We're not here to fight. We're just here to put the body of Christ in the right place. Because the tornado that's coming to the global economy and the global economic system is going to directly impact your retirement account and future ability to have a standard of living that you think you want. And we contend that the body of Christ, properly positioned during this calamity, will be the protectors, will come up, and the Jesus Christ and the Word will be able to sustain. Without the resources, we're going to be the slaves to the system, not the protectors.
It's the gold rule. Wealthy people, no, we're not talking about the golden rule. The gold rule is he who has the gold rules. And it's that simple. The business world knows that.
They do know that.
And if you don't have tangible resources when things go amok, then whoever has the tangible resources will be controlling your life.
You know what's interesting, Charles, is it always has been, all through history, mind you, 100% of fiat currency, every fiat paper dollar note created, has gone to zero. Zero.
Except for the current stuff.
It will, because all through history, they always go to zero. What they do is then they create a new dollar. There's actually been images floating around, I don't know how real it is, of a new dollar already created for when the system collapses, and how they matrix that, I don't know. But all through history, these always go to zero. So the question is, in the body of Christ, how do we properly prepare for the tornado that's coming to the global currency system? As we were showing you about Europe and Japan and the economies collapsing, and this unsustainable trillions of dollars printed and euros printed straight up like a rocket ship being done right now, that is known as a parabolic blow-off, meaning we're getting ready to see a reckoning in the current system of things, and something new is going to be created, my guess. We don't know what. What do we do in the body of Christ, though, to be properly positioned? This is your hard-earned wealth and money. Your hard-earned, you could be good stewards of managers as churches and ministries. So we need to be properly positioned with this asset. Where is your asset and hard-earned wealth? And what can you do about it? Where can you go? How do you get started? Here are some ways you can.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, what I'd like to do is define real quick here, and then I'm going to show you a direct image to clear up this definition. A dollar, what we think is a dollar, is not a dollar today. What you're holding in your wallet right now, what's stored in your bank account right now, is known as a Federal Reserve note. Read it. Pick up that piece of paper in your wallet and read it. Look along the top. Federal Reserve note. Now think about what note means. A note is an IOU, a loan instrument, a debt obligation instrument, meaning you owe me something. I own you, you owe me something. That is a note. You borrowed, I owe you.
It's something you can exchange for something.
You can exchange it because they say on the dollar bill itself, it does say to the bearer of. Mm-hmm. So whoever's holding the note has the right to the buying power that note provides. I will pay $10 in exchange for this note. Same thing.
It's a piece of paper.
Do you know what?
Signed my name. However,
so great.
However,
this is the same thing.
But if you don't know me, you probably won't take this for anything.
The only excellent transition, because what Charles just gave me was a piece of paper that says he'll pay me $10, and he signed it.
No, I didn't say I'd pay you $10. I said I'd pay $10 in exchange for this note.
For this paper.
For that paper. And it's my signature on it. That means if you have it, I'll give you $10 in exchange for it. If you don't, whoever has it, I'll give them $10 in exchange.
Because the Federal Reserve note that you're holding in your wallet, the reason it has value is just like Charles said. If you don't know me, Charles said, why would you want that, right?
You could take this anywhere in North Carolina. Nobody would give you $10 for this.
Right.
Because they don't know me. But they know the Federal Reserve.
They know the U.S. government.
Yep.
And the Federal Reserve's in control of it, but what people don't understand is the U.S. government has seceded power over, authority over to the bank. We, the people, have given up our rights to freedom and seceded our power and authority to the bank. That's dangerous, number one. That's a whole other argument. The Federal Reserve note says to the bearer of, meaning you hold this note because we believe in the United States, the good faith and credit of the United States says that you can trust this piece of paper. If people who know Charles, definitely people who really actually know Charles, knows that this actually is worth $10.
I'm tearing it up after the show.
but they know, because Charles is that honorable, where if he says, I will give you this, if you have this paper, he'll give you the $10. But those who don't know him, now people know the United States government, so they trust that this is an exchangeable note. But remember, it's a debt instrument. So your car loan, debt instrument. Think about this.
Hang just a second there, because that's a good thought.
Right.
Because Kelly and I own property. My wife and I own rental property. And I don't know how many times the note that we have has been sold to another
Transferred.
note holder,
Yes,
another lender.
right.
So the original lender sells the note.
The note.
It's just like money. It's
Right.
just like exchanging this money. I'll exchange it to you for you giving me something else that says,
Yes.
and that they exchange it from one lender, another lender buys it, another lender buys it,
Yes.
and they're making money off of me every month because they're holding the note against my property.
The key to this, interest.
Yes.
Now, we want to move slowly on this.
But how do people get interest from this?
I know, and let's do this. We're moving a little slow on this, but for those that have been with us for a while, please stay tuned to this and then over the next few weeks. The principles we're going to show you here are vital to our future survival as the kingdom so we can properly diversify away from this. And for those new folks, just really try to take in what we're saying here, because what Charles just alluded to, they change the note. We all have had it. Those that own homes, you've had your loan probably sold to a different lender. They keep the note. They change the note from one to another, and they have a different lender. Now, why is that important to us, though? Or why would it be? Do you trust everybody? How many banks go out of business, right? Do you trust the government? Unfortunately, I think a lot of people do, which they really shouldn't. But
the answer to both of those questions is nobody and no, in that order.
Right. So if we don't, if I come up to you and say, "Hey, I'll pay you," I mean, like Wimpy and Popeye, I'll give you $1 for hamburger.
What about watch?
Yeah, my watch is. Hey, look at this. What's in here? You want some? This is what we're talking about here. The Federal Reserve note is a debt instrument, IOU. The U.S. government issues bonds, and they say to the world, we need to borrow money to pay our bills, welfare, military, such. They issue bonds. The bonds are then sold, and it's like, okay, I own you. Whoever owns that bond owns you. So if Charles were to give me a bond, and he says, I need to borrow $5,000, I own Charles for the $5,000. He's got to do what I tell him. In the old days, people would become slaves if they didn't pay their debt.
Solomon said,
think about that.
The borrower is servant to the lender.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. And there's the biblical text of it. Right. And this is very true. The borrower is servant to the lender. Now think about this. The Federal Reserve note in your wallet is a debt instrument. That central entity owns the United States people and its government. And if we knew who that Luciferian central system was, you would not want to be part of that. Now, that is the Federal Reserve note. They've mistakenly, or on purpose, made you believe it's a dollar. So we're going to now define what the dollar is. But know that this is the Federal Reserve note.
Now, you have to...
Now, hopefully I did that when Charles and I did this. Note is not a dollar. It looks like it, but it's not.
But you have to think this is worth something, so they have to put the illusion in your mind that this has some sort of intrinsic value.
Well, because we still
or you wouldn't take it.
We still believe that the government is, if they say they'll do it, they'll do it.
How can the government do that? They owe $18 trillion that they tell people
you know why?
They owe. Over $120 trillion, some estimates say, in unfunded.
I know, it is true. But here's why. They still pay the Social Security payments on time.
Well, how do they do that, though?
They keep borrowing more money.
Exactly.
They still pay welfare payments on time.
How many people would we do business with that all they could do is borrow money to pay the next business deal?
Right.
We wouldn't do that as an individual.
Yes.
We wouldn't do that.
And here's the danger of this. Right now, it's been working for 40 years. So the object of this is I have infinite lending ability to you because I have the ability to print the image. So if no one stands up to me and says, hey, you're not worth anything, which remember, we're the greatest military in the world, so nobody stood up to us. We were the greatest power. So we were able to print as much as we wanted to. Well, this is 40 years in the making now. What we're getting at is we're near a reckoning. 2008 sparked a global saturation of fake IOU notes. All of a sudden, somebody who didn't have anything except the good faith and credit of a government all over the world started printing these. Hey, I'm good for this. Hey, buddy, I need another trillion. And hey, John, I need another billion trillion. And they keep doing it. And we're doing it so much so it goes straight up. What we're saying is we've hit a global reckoning point that too many notes from all these countries are saturating the system. And I'm talking China, Europe, Japan, everybody's doing it. And a lot of people say, well, if everyone's doing it, it should just keep going. It can't, because someone in the bag always descends. If everybody stayed on the same playing field, yes, they could keep doing it. They're not. And that's where wars come in, right? Someone says, they're weak now, let's take them over. This is the time to go after them. And I'm contending that's the BRIC nations, Russia, China, elements of the Middle East. This is what's coming, you see. This is a tornado coming after what you are holding on to, all of your hard-earned wealth in retirement account system. So the only way to get away from the notes that's in the bank, the notes that are attached to your IRA and 401ks, is to get into hard, tangible assets. So when these notes collapse in value, these tangible assets go up in value. And that's the storage of wealth over time. How do we do that? Here are some ways you can.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
So now that we explained the Federal Reserve note that is in your wallet right now, and I would really like for most people watching this program, after it's over, to take one of these out of your wallet and read them. The Federal Reserve note, it is an IOU. It is valuable as long as the issuer, which is our government, is credible. In stages of empire, what we're showing is we're on the verge of losing that credibility, and it's happening globally, and I have all the data that backs that up.
Isn't it gray, though, when you said that the U.S. government issues the currency? Because they really don't issue the currency, they just back the currency, isn't the
Yes.
The Federal Reserve Bank, the rich people actually issue the currency,
right.
and they put the signature of the treasurer on there, and they say that we're going to back it up because they bought our bonds.
Yeah. Now, how can the U.S., that's right, and how does the U.S. government back it up? Taxing the people, you see. That's why issuing local bonds, municipal bonds were always good, because they could always tax real estate more to get more money. So the reason the government can back it up is they just will tax the people more. And that's how that works. But remember, the note is just the note. Now, we're contending that the global shift is taking place with China, the BRICS, and everything. And it's taking place. The dollar's dominance in global trade is diminishing rapidly. The petrodollar deal, which keeps the dollar alive, which go back into our archive on the Cornerstone page, wealth transfer, and watch the petrodollar series. When that collapses, our notes are going to come home in a avalanche of inflation to hyperinflation. Right now we're seeing a deflation take place, but then we're going to see the inflation. So we are on the verge of losing that credibility. We still have the best military, but our credibility is coming down the pipeline. Now let's go into the dollar. And the dollar constitutionally, as we said before, is defined as grains of silver, grains of gold. It actually means in Greek, thayer, which is grains of silver, grains of gold. A real dollar this silver certificate from the 60s. Instead of the bearer Federal Reserve note, which was a debt instrument, the dollar actually is backed by silver. So the dollar, right there,
what you did earlier.
The dollar, real definition of dollar means you can take this note to the bank and get silver, tangible. You can't take a note to the bank and get anything.
Because
so
first of all, the banks are not holding anything to
right.
anything.
That's right.
Local banks don't hold any silver.
Right. So let's do this. Now that I've explained that, now remember the dollar is real value that translates into an asset that's finite. There's only so many ounces of silver and so many ounces of gold, so it constrains your ability to print notes into Bolivian. So the dollar is a real note, which is more of a coupon exchanged for silver. A note does not exchange for anything but a handshake and say, don't worry, I'm good for it. Look at this image now.
Find another sucker to take it.
Sort of like that, yes.
Yeah.
And what's happening is the credibility is getting lost, and there are powers rising globally that want the dollar to go away, the note go away. Look at image number 4, and let's sit on this image, because I want you folks to do this if you can. Image number 4 is going to illustrate the difference of a dollar to a note. Now look at the top. The top note paper, the top one is a silver certificate outlined in red. The bottom, you notice, it says at the bottom of George Washington on the top, $1 silver dollar. It's backed up by silver. So the top one is an image of a dollar. The bottom one is an image of a Federal Reserve note backed up by the good faith and credit of the people. You can take that off. Wait until you see how that's going to impact your retirement and your future. Stay tuned next week. And if you haven't made Jesus Christ Son of your life, ask Him. He'll set you free.
You can watch these programs 24/7 on demand. Cornerstone Asset Metals. Terry and I will be back next week, same place, same time, for the Wealth Transfer. We'll see you then.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.